Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John's report is for the 6th of September. Well, a little bit of softness. Couldn't really breach the 61% range there and sort of filled it back. Not surprised. We had seen the breakdown of MBI Magenta and MBI White was leading even though it was decaying, and all this coming off of the DOC spreads. So there's been some expressed weakness in general, nothing severe, and the range pretty much depicts it. Will the 50% hold? It's got the potential now with the magenta actually moving over white MBI, but there's still a strong split from cyan to the DOC green. If I had orange dipping back into the range between cyan and red, then you've got a continuation, which would be a continuation to the south, even though it's modest at this particular stage. Literally, we still have the positive extreme from back over here, so that would take it all the way back down into that 44.37 range. But it's just sort of soft action with this in between continued readings of softening economy, but not horrible. And it's just the same malaise that's sort of existed. Prices continue to rise. Oil's the big threat. And as that continues to expand over time, it's going to be harder and harder to push through. Of course, you have new fund money that's all available at this particular stage of the game. So, where they're going to start to apply that, the real question was, the Treasury issue versus going into stocks. And as I was pointing out, too high up here to do that, needed to get it normalized back in between, and did so. So, yield back up, that's going to attract some more attention. But if oil continues to stay where it is, the expectation would be that rates will at least stay the same, if not rise, which would drive TLT even further lower to increase that yield. And from an oil standpoint, pretty far up there, given no real significant changes other than the sanctions that exist. Really, it's self-inflicted. No other way to describe it. So that's going to continue to put pressure. And of course, as we talked about, the more oil rises, the greater impact goes to the EU. And that's no question why we're seeing that plummet. And it's going to get harder and harder because there's no reason why you wouldn't want to move your euros into dollars or some other currency simply because there's no benefit being in a euro at this particular stage. And it's going to get problematic here very quickly if they're not able to shore things up. And as you can see, MBI White lead for the move to the 0% and still maintaining that at this particular stage. So um, central banks are going to have to be busy with that one. That's going to cause some real issues. Gold fading off, interesting. At the end of the day, the long term play for gold is still higher at this particular stage because there's just no question with inflation what it is, and that is going to be the safe haven. You're not seeing that from crypto at this particular stage because Bitcoin, ETH, they've both been dead in the water and for quite some time. I mean, that's quite a while to see that MBI White lead throughout all of it. And we know the effect of that, and that is exactly what it's doing, keeping it towards that 0%, not really allowing much of anything. A little bit stronger from an Ethereum case, but starting to see the MBI White rise there, and that would create a new move. And that was just because they had that spike low. But the reality is, if the little spike low hadn't been there, we'd be almost exactly the same as Bitcoin with that 0% range. From a 50K standpoint, so you can see we're starting to fill back some of these positive extremes going back. We're now down all the way to here, so that puts us back into the beginning portions of that positive extreme rise, which down here we go all the way back, though, to the original breakout, which is exactly the same from a daily standpoint. So there's congruency there, and that's going to be a powerful pull in that direction. You can see how choppy intraday was. With most of the selling just took place late in the day, clearing out the stops, and no real excitement in the European session. In fact, just a little bit of softness. So um, nothing traumatic. It's just a little bit more erratic from the ranges, and I think that's just a clear uh, indication you don't have a leader at this particular stage. And once that begins, the momentum, of course, will give us clear direction and strength to it. But for now, there's just too many problematic elements on the horizon, and it really creates for this kind of in between time. But it's going to start clarifying now here as we have everyone returning and they start to develop strategy as to what they want to do. And sometimes the market behaves irrespective of what really is going on from an economic standpoint. So for us, it's just a matter of following the readings, going from there, keeping it straight and simple. As always, anything relevant, I'll put on the Skype chat. Trade well.